They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I believed that. I needed to believe that. Because if I'd known that one weekend would destroy everything, my wedding, my future, my entire life, I never would have gotten on that plane. But here I am, 8 months later, sitting in my childhood bedroom in Phoenix, 30 years old with a baby who looks nothing like the man I was supposed to marry. My son has dark hair and olive skin, constant reminders of a night I can barely remember and will never forget. Every time I look at him, I see my mistakes staring back at me. I lost everything for 3 days in Vegas. 3 days that were supposed to be my last hurrah before settling into married life. 3 days that turned me from a bride-to-be into a cautionary tale whispered about at dinner parties. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how spectacularly I destroyed my life, you need to know how perfect it was before. Cameron and I had been together for 5 years. He was everything I thought I wanted. Stable, successful, devoted. We met at a mutual friend's housewarming party when I was 25, fresh out of my master's program in marketing and ready to conquer the world. He was 30, established in his career as a financial analyst, and had this quiet confidence that drew me in. Our relationship was comfortable from the start. No drama, no games, just two people who fit well together. He brought me flowers every Friday. White roses because I'd mentioned once that I liked them. I made his favorite lasagna every Sunday, the recipe his grandmother had written on an index card that he treasured. We had season tickets to the Suns, a standing reservation at our favorite sushi place, and plans to buy a house in Scottsdale after the wedding. Looking back, maybe comfortable was the problem, but at the time, after watching my friends cycle through toxic relationships, comfortable felt like winning the lottery. Cameron proposed on our 4-year anniversary at the place we first kissed, Papago Park at sunset. It was perfect, just like him. He'd even waited for the exact time of day we'd shared that first kiss, 6:47 p.m. The ring was exactly what I'd pinned on my Pinterest board. The photographer he'd secretly hired captured every moment. Within an hour, we had 200 likes on Instagram and comments about being couple goals. I threw myself into wedding planning with the enthusiasm of someone who'd been dreaming about this day since childhood. Blush and gold color scheme, garden ceremony, string quartet, 200 guests. Everything was going to be perfect. The bachelorette party was my sister Emma's idea. "You need one last girls' trip before you're an old married lady," she said. "Vegas, baby, 5 of us, 3 nights, pure fun." I hesitated at first. Vegas seemed so cliché. But my bridesmaids were excited, and honestly I was too. Between wedding planning and work stress, I was managing 3 major campaigns at the marketing firm. I needed to blow off steam. "Just don't do anything too crazy," Cameron said when I told him, kissing my forehead. "I know you girls get wild when you're together." "Please," I laughed. "The wildest thing we'll do is probably day drinking by the pool." "I trust you," he said, and those 3 words would haunt me forever. "Have fun. You deserve it after all this wedding stress." If only. The trouble started before we even landed. My maid of honor, Sophia, had brought penis straws, sashes that said "last fling before the ring," and a checklist of challenges I was supposed to complete. Take a shot with a stranger, get a guy's number, dance on a bar, get a lap dance, kiss someone who wasn't Cameron. Harmless bachelorette party stuff, she said. "Absolutely not," I said, shoving the checklist back at her. "I'm getting married in 2 weeks." "Exactly," said Mia, my college roommate. "This is your last chance to be fun, Amanda." "I am fun," I protested. They all exchanged looks. "When's the last time you did something spontaneous?" Emma asked. "Something Cameron didn't plan 3 weeks in advance?" "Honestly, Amanda," Mia added, swirling her drink, "sometimes your life is so perfect it's nauseating. You're allowed to have a little uncurated fun." I couldn't answer because I honestly couldn't remember. Was my life with Cameron just a series of perfect, predictable photo ops? Wonderful, yes, but was it real? The question stung. "This weekend isn't about Cameron," Sophia said as we checked into the Cosmopolitan. "It's about you. The Amanda we knew before you became half of Amanda and Cameron. Remember her? She was fun. She did body shots off strangers in Cabo. She skinny dipped in the Dean's pool. She lived." That first night was innocent enough. Dinner at a fancy restaurant where they made me wear a plastic tiara. Drinks at a rooftop bar where I let a bachelor party buy us around. Dancing at a club where I actually did dance on the bar, my friends filming and cheering. I did a few items from the checklist, took a shot with a bachelorette party from Texas, got 3 guys' numbers before showing them my ring, let a very attractive bartender give me a free drink for the beautiful bride. I went to bed at 3 a.m. feeling alive in a way I hadn't in years. Like I'd found a piece of myself I'd forgotten existed. Saturday was when everything went wrong. It started with bottomless mimosas at brunch. My friends had decorated our table with more penis paraphernalia. Other diners were either amused or appalled, but I was 3 mimosas in and didn't care. Then we hit the pool, where Mia had somehow gotten us cabana service with a very attentive staff. The drinks kept coming, fruity things that tasted like juice but hit like hammers. Something called a Paloma, another called Vegas Bomb. By 2 p.m., I was drunker than I'd been since college. "Those guys keep looking over here," Sophia said, nodding toward the cabana next to ours. I glanced over through my sunglasses. A group of men, probably early 30s, attractive in that Vegas way. Tan, fit, confident. One caught my eye and smiled. Dark hair, bright green eyes, the kind of dangerous smile that would have made pre-Cameron me melt. He looked like trouble. Delicious trouble. "So?" I said, looking away but feeling his eyes still on me. "So they're hot," Mia said, "and they just sent over a bottle of champagne, the expensive stuff." "Send it back," I said, but my protest was weak. "Don't be rude," Emma chimed in. "It's just champagne. We'll toast your wedding and send them on their way." Except we didn't send them on their way. They joined our cabana. Introductions were made. The one with green eyes was Bryce, a pharmaceutical sales rep in town for a medical conference. His friend was James, also in medical sales. They were charming, funny, and genuinely respectful when I mentioned I was there for my bachelorette party. "Congratulations," Bryce said, raising his glass. "Your fiancé is a lucky man." "Thank you," I said, and meant it. Cameron was lucky. I was lucky. We were lucky together. But as the afternoon wore on and the drinks kept flowing, I found myself forgetting about luck. Forgetting about Cameron. Bryce was telling stories about his travels. He'd been to 30 countries, each with its own adventure. When was the last time Cameron and I had gone anywhere that wasn't pre-planned and pre-packaged? "What's the craziest thing you've ever done?" Bryce asked me directly. "Getting married in 2 weeks," I said, trying to be cute. "That's the most responsible thing," he corrected. I asked about crazy. I couldn't answer because I realized I hadn't done anything crazy in years. Unless you counted choosing lavender instead of lilac for the bridesmaids' dresses. The afternoon blurred into evening. More drinks. Moving to a restaurant where Bryce sat next to me and kept accidentally touching my arm. Another club where the music was so loud I had to lean close to hear what he was saying. His cologne mixed with the Vegas heat and alcohol making me dizzy. Or maybe that was just the tequila shots Sophia kept ordering. Somewhere along the way, I stopped mentioning Cameron, stopped thinking about the wedding, stopped being responsible Amanda and let myself just be. Bryce was a good dancer. That's what I told myself as we moved together on the dance floor, his hands on my waist, my inhibitions drowned in vodka and the bass pounding through my body. Just dancing. Nothing wrong with dancing. "You're beautiful," he said in my ear, his breath hot against my neck. "I'm engaged," I replied, but I didn't move away. If anything, I pressed closer. "I know," he said. "I'm not trying to start anything, just stating a fact." His hand moved lower on my back, I let it. My friends were scattered around the club with other guys from Bryce's group. Sophia was making out with someone in a corner. Mia was doing shots at the bar with a guy who looked young enough to be carded. Emma was grinding on the dance floor with James. The accountability system we'd promised each other had evaporated in the Vegas heat. I should find my friends, I said, but made no move to leave his arms. They're fine, Bryce said. You're allowed to have fun at your own bachelorette party. Fun. That word again. When had fun become something I had to be allowed to have? One more drink, I said. Then I'm going back to the hotel. The drink was a mistake. Everything after the drink was a mistake. I remember flashes. Bryce's room. How did we get there? When had we left the club? James was there too. When did he arrive? My friends cheering as we left together. Someone, Sophia, saying, "What happens in Vegas?" and everyone laughing. Another bottle of champagne. Music playing from someone's phone. I remember saying yes to things I shouldn't have said yes to. Feeling wanted in a way that was different from Cameron's steady devotion. Feeling wild and free, and not like someone's future wife, but like the girl who used to do body shots in Cabo. Like I was 22 again instead of almost 30, with a mortgage application pending. I remember someone filming. Sophia holding up her phone and laughing. "For the wedding video," she joked, and Drunk Me thought that was hilarious. I looked right at the camera and said those damning words. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Then I laughed and went back to what I was doing. What I was doing with two men who weren't my fiancé. But mostly I remember the moment after, when the alcohol started wearing off and reality crashed in. Bryce asleep on one side, James on the other, and me in the middle wondering what I'd just done. My engagement ring caught the light from the strip outside, mocking me. Cameron had saved for 6 months to buy that ring. Picked it out himself, even though I'd left plenty of hints about what I wanted. I crept back to my room at dawn, showered until my skin was raw, and crawled into bed. The water couldn't wash away what I'd done. When my friends woke up hours later, hungover and giggling about their own adventures, I pretended to sleep. "Amanda got wild last night," Sophia announced. "Our little bride finally remembered how to party." They had no idea how wild. Or maybe they did and thought it was fine. What happens in Vegas, after all? The flight home Sunday night was torture. Every time my phone buzzed with a text from Cameron, "Hope you had fun." "Can't wait to see you." "Love you." "Just picked up your dress from the cleaners." I wanted to throw up, but I smiled and texted back like nothing had happened. Because nothing had happened. Not really. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I almost believed it. I had to believe it. The alternative was unthinkable. Cameron picked me up from the airport, flowers in hand. Not white roses this time, but pink peonies because he'd remembered I mentioned loving them at someone's wedding. He was trying to be spontaneous. The irony made me want to cry. "How was it?" he asked, kissing me. "Did you have fun with the girls?" "It was perfect," I lied, "but I'm glad to be home." 2 more weeks, he said, taking my hand. "Then you're stuck with me forever." Forever. The word echoed in my head all the way home. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of final wedding preparations. Dress fittings where I smiled while feeling like a fraud. Vendor meetings where I tasted cakes that turned to ash in my mouth. Rehearsal dinner planning with Cameron's mother, who kept saying how lucky I was to have her son. I threw myself into every detail, as if perfect centerpieces could erase what I'd done. Cameron noticed I was distracted, but attributed it to wedding stress. "Just 2 more weeks, he'd say, rubbing my shoulders. "Then we can relax on the honeymoon." The honeymoon. 2 weeks in Bali, where I'd have to pretend to be the devoted wife when I was really a cheater who'd had a threesome at her bachelorette party. The thought made me physically ill. I'd started having nightmares. Cameron finding out at the altar, the video playing on the screens meant for our slideshow, our families watching in horror. But I pushed through. What choice did I have? Cancel the wedding because of one drunken mistake? Destroy Cameron's life because I'd had too much to drink? No. I'd made a mistake, but I could move past it. People make mistakes. What mattered was that I loved Cameron and wanted to marry him. I really believed I could do it. I convinced myself the guilt would fade after we were married, that being a good wife would somehow balance out being a terrible fiancé. Right up until Wednesday night when everything exploded. I was at my final dress fitting with my mom and Cameron's sister, Lily. The seamstress was literally sewing me into the dress. It was so tight I could barely breathe, but I'd lost weight from the stress and they needed to take it in. My phone started buzzing incessantly on the counter. Cameron calling. I sent it to voicemail. He called again and again. "Just answer it," my mom said. "Maybe something's wrong with the venue." "Or the flowers," Lily added. "Remember when they almost delivered purple roses instead of white to the rehearsal?" I wish it had been the flowers. "Where are you?" Cameron's voice was wrong, flat, dead, like someone had sucked all the warmth out of it. "At the dress fitting. Why? What's wrong?" "Come home, now." "Cameron, what?" "Now, Amanda." He hung up. I stared at the phone, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst through the corseted bodice. He knew. Somehow he knew. "I have to go," I told the seamstress, who looked scandalized as she cut me out of the half-sewn dress. Thousands of dollars of French lace and silk, sliced open like my life was about to be. "What's wrong?" my mom asked, but I was already running to my car, still in my slip and heels. The drive home was the longest of my life. Every red light felt like torture. I ran through scenarios, explanations, lies. Maybe someone had seen me dancing with Bryce. I could explain dancing. Maybe one of the girls had posted something incriminating on social media. I could handle that. Maybe it was something else entirely. His dad's health, a problem at work, anything but what I knew in my bones it had to be. I couldn't handle what was actually waiting for me. Cameron was sitting at our kitchen table, his laptop open in front of him. The kitchen we'd renovated together, where we'd argued about backsplash tiles and celebrated with champagne when it was finished. He looked up when I walked in, and the expression on his face made me stop in my tracks. I'd never seen him look at anyone like that, let alone me, like I was something disgusting he'd stepped in. "Cameron, don't." He turned the laptop toward me. "Just watch." My first thought was that Sophia had sent it. A drunken mistake. But what played on the screen was too slick, edited with music. It was the video. 3 minutes and 42 seconds of my life that I barely remembered, displayed in high-definition clarity. Me with Bryce and James. Me enthusiastically participating. Me looking at the camera and laughing about what happens in Vegas. The timestamp showed 3:47 a.m. The hotel room number was visible on the door in one shot. Every damning detail captured forever. I sank into a chair, my legs unable to support me. The slip I was still wearing from the fitting felt like it was strangling me. How? "Does it matter?" He closed the laptop with a snap that sounded like a gunshot. "Tony sent it to me. He found it on some disgusting website. A whole forum dedicated to bachelorette party trophies. You're famous, Amanda. Congratulations." "It was a mistake," I whispered. "I was drunk. It didn't mean anything. They meant nothing." "They?" His voice cracked for the first time. "Jesus Christ, Amanda. I watched my fiancé with 2 men, 2 strangers, and you're telling me it meant nothing?" "I love you," I tried. "Only you. It was just one night, one stupid—" "No." He stood up, the chair scraping against the floor. "A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is being late to dinner. This is who you are, who you've apparently always been, and I was too blind to see it." "That's not true. You know me." "I thought I did. I thought I knew the woman I was marrying. Turns out I've been engaged to a stranger who could do that. And then come home and kiss me. Plan our wedding. Let me think we had a future." "We do have a future. Please, Cameron, we can get through this. Couples therapy." "There is no we anymore." He pulled off his engagement ring, a simple platinum band we'd picked out together, and set it on the table with a soft clink. "The wedding is off. I'll be gone by morning." "Cameron, please, let me explain." "Explain what? How you accidentally ended up in bed with 2 men? How you accidentally let someone film it? How you accidentally looked at the camera and made a joke about it?" "I was drunk. Sophia and the girls kept pushing drinks." "Stop." His voice was quiet now, which was worse than yelling. "Stop blaming alcohol. Stop blaming your friends. You made choices. Over and over you made choices. And every choice led you further away from us." He was already walking away. I followed him to our bedroom with the California king we'd bought together, the matching nightstands, the framed photo from our engagement shoot on the dresser. He threw clothes into a bag with mechanical precision. "Where will you go?" I asked stupidly. "Does it matter?" "Cameron, it's been 5 years. 5 years. You're going to throw it all away over one night?" He stopped packing and looked at me then, really looked at me. "You threw it away, Amanda. I'm just refusing to pretend it's still there." I tried everything. Tears, begging, anger. I even tried to seduce him, desperate and pathetic in my slip. Nothing worked. He packed his things like I wasn't even there, took his toiletries from our bathroom, his laptop from the office. The only thing he left was the ring on the kitchen table. By the time he walked out, I was on the floor, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. I heard his car start, heard it pull away, and knew he wasn't coming back. I called him obsessively for the next 3 days. Texts, voicemails, emails. They started desperate, "Please call me back," and descended into pathetic, "I'll do anything to fix this." I sent novels about our history, our plans, our love. I sent photos from happier times. I even sent the engagement video, hoping to remind him of what we had. He never responded. When I finally told my parents the wedding was off, I had to tell them why. Watching my father's face change as he processed what his daughter had done was almost worse than Cameron's disgust. My mother cried, not for me, but for the grandchildren she'd now never have from the stable son-in-law she'd loved. "How could you?" she kept asking. "How could you do that to Cameron? To yourself? To us?" I had no answer that would satisfy her. By Saturday, what should have been our wedding day, the story had spread like wildfire. Someone always talks. Sophia, it turned out, had drunkenly told her boyfriend about the crazy night in Vegas, and he'd told his friends, and suddenly everyone knew. My phone lit up with messages from friends who'd heard various versions. Some supportive, some judgmental, all humiliating. The worst was from Cameron's best man, Tony. "I hope you're happy. He's destroyed. Couldn't even get out of bed this morning. How could you do this to him?" I spent what should have been my wedding day in bed, still in the same clothes from Wednesday, crying until I had nothing left. My mom brought me food I didn't eat. My dad couldn't even look at me. Emma tried to comfort me, but what could she say? That it would be okay? It would never be okay. The venue called, asking about the final payment. The florist wanted to confirm delivery. The photographer sent a cheerful email about shot lists. Each reminder of the wedding that wasn't happening was like a fresh wound. $25,000 spent on a party that would never happen. But the money was nothing compared to what I'd really lost. 2 weeks later, I discovered that Bryce wasn't who he said he was. Sophia, riddled with guilt over her role in everything, did some digging. He wasn't a pharmaceutical rep. He was married with 2 kids in Denver. The medical conference was real, but he was just there as a +1 with his actual doctor brother-in-law. James was his college buddy, also married. They'd specifically targeted our bachelorette group, buying us drinks and feeding us lies. "I'm so sorry," Sophia sobbed over the phone. "I should have protected you. I should have stopped it. I was just so drunk and thought we were having fun and—" "It doesn't matter," I said numbly. "I'm the one who did it. I'm the one who made the choice." But knowing they were predators, targeting drunk women, didn't absolve me. If anything, it made me feel more stupid. more naive. How had I fallen for such obvious players? The pregnancy test 2 months later was just the universe's final joke. Of course I was pregnant. Of course it could be either of the Vegas guys. Of course Cameron would have to know, starting the humiliation cycle all over again. I threw up for 20 minutes after seeing those 2 pink lines, not morning sickness, just pure panic. How could I be pregnant? Had we used protection? I couldn't remember. Those crucial details were lost in the alcoholic haze of that night. "You have to be kidding me," was all Cameron said when I told him. We met at a Starbucks, neutral ground, and he looked good. Better than good. He'd been working out, gotten a haircut, looked like a man who'd dodged a bullet and knew it. Meanwhile, I looked exactly like what I was, a desperate woman who'd destroyed her own life. "I need to know if it's yours," I said, my hands shaking around my untouched latte. "It's not." "We had sex the night before I left." "No, we didn't." His voice was certain. "I remember that week clearly, Amanda. Every detail is burned into my brain. We didn't have sex that night or any night that week. You were too busy with your bachelorette planning, too tired, too stressed about the wedding. Ring any bells?" He was right. Of course he was right. I'd been so focused on the trip, on the wedding, on everything but him that last week. But I'd convinced myself otherwise because the alternative was too horrible to contemplate. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "For what? For cheating, for lying, for trying to trick me into raising another man's baby?" "All of it." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You know what the worst part is? If you'd come home and told me immediately, if you'd been honest, maybe we could have worked through it. But you were going to marry me. You were going to stand up in front of our families and God and promise to be faithful when you'd already broken that promise. That's not a mistake, Amanda. That's cruelty." "I was scared." "You were selfish. There's a difference." I had no defense because he was right. The paternity test confirmed what we both knew. The baby wasn't Cameron's. When I finally tracked down Bryce through social media, using his real name I'd found through reverse image searching, his wife answered his phone. "Is this about Vegas?" she asked, her voice tired. "You're not the first to call." My blood ran cold. "What?" "My husband and his friend have a habit of picking up women at bachelor and bachelorette parties. Vegas, Nashville, Miami. I'm divorcing him if that makes you feel better. Though I'm guessing you're calling because you're pregnant. The last one was too." The last one. I wasn't special. I wasn't even unique in my stupidity. Bryce, when he finally called back from a blocked number, laughed when I told him I was pregnant. A cold, cruel sound. "Not my problem," he said. "You knew what you were doing. Don't try to trap me with some kid that isn't even mine. For all I know, you slept with the whole Vegas Strip." "It's yours or James's," I insisted. The paternity test ruled out. "I don't care. I'm not giving you a dime. My wife's lawyers already took everything. Consider it a souvenir from your last fling." He hung up. James blocked my number without ever responding. So here I am. Single mother to a baby whose father wants nothing to do with him, living with my parents because I can't afford rent and childcare on my own. The marketing firm I'd worked so hard to build my career at let me go during restructuring, code for we don't want the scandal. Working part-time at a digital agency for half my previous salary because it's all I could find with flexible hours. My son, I named him Lucas, is 6 months old now. He has Bryce's green eyes and olive skin, constant reminders of my destruction. He's beautiful and innocent and deserves so much better than the origin story I gave him. Cameron, from what I hear through the brutal grapevine of mutual friends, is thriving. New girlfriend. Met her at his gym, apparently. Promotion at work. Senior financial analyst now. Traveling to all the places we'd planned to go together. His Instagram is full of smiling photos and exotic locations with a woman who probably never gave him a reason to doubt her. Her name is Rebecca. She's a pediatric nurse. Of course she is. Someone who takes care of children instead of destroying them. I want to hate her, but I can't. She's living the life I threw away. The life I could have had if I'd just gone to bed that night in Vegas. If I'd just remembered that what happens in Vegas doesn't actually stay there. It follows you home and destroys everything. My friends have mostly faded away. Sophia texts occasionally, still guilty about her role in everything. But she's engaged now, planning her own wedding, and my presence is a reminder of how badly things can go. Emma helps when she can, but there's judgment in her eyes. She's married now, too, to a man who trusts her completely. Must be nice. The other bridesmaids who were in Vegas? They've rewritten history. In their version, I was the one who wanted to meet those guys. I was the one who suggested going back to the hotel. They tried to stop me, but I was too drunk, too determined to have my last fling. It's easier for them to sleep at night if I'm the villain. Maybe I am. My therapist says I need to forgive myself, that everyone makes mistakes, that I'm not defined by one bad decision. But she's wrong. Some mistakes are too big to come back from. Some decisions reveal who you really are. And who am I? I'm the woman who destroyed a good man's trust, who threw away a loving relationship for a night I barely remember, who turned what happens in Vegas into a nuclear bomb that obliterated my entire life. My son is crying. He's always crying, colicky and difficult, as if he knows he wasn't supposed to exist. I pick him up, bouncing him the way the pediatrician showed me, and catch sight of myself in the mirror. 30 years old, bags under my eyes, baby spit up on my shirt, living in my childhood bedroom, 20 pounds heavier than on my wedding day. The dress I never wore still hangs in my closet. A $10,000 reminder of the life I threw away. My phone buzzes, Emma texting to see if I need anything from the store. She's the only friend who still checks on me regularly, though even she judges me. I can see it in her eyes. Relief that she wasn't the one who took things too far, mixed with pity for the mess I've made. I text back a short list: diapers, formula, wine, the essentials of single motherhood. She adds a heart emoji, trying to be supportive, but we both know nothing can fix this. The baby finally settles, and I put him in his crib. A hand-me-down from my cousin, like everything else in his life. Second-hand baby for a second-choice life. I should be working on my freelance projects, but instead I do what I always do: torture myself by looking at Cameron's social media. He posted yesterday from Tulum, the trip we'd planned for our first anniversary. Rebecca is wearing a white sundress, laughing at something off camera. Her engagement ring catches the light, bigger than the one he'd given me. The caption reads, "Paradise found." I was his paradise once. Now I'm just the disaster he escaped. Sometimes I dream about that night in Vegas, but in my dreams, I say no. I go back to my room alone. I wake up Sunday morning with nothing worse than a hangover. I marry Cameron the next weekend in front of all our friends and family. We honeymoon in Bali. We buy that house in Scottsdale. We have babies that look like him, that we planned for and wanted. But then I wake up to Lucas crying and reality crashes back. This is my life now. This will always be my life. The woman who had everything and threw it away for a night she can't even fully remember. The worst part is, I have no one to blame but myself. My friends didn't force those drinks down my throat. Bryce and James didn't drag me to their room. I can't even blame the alcohol, not really. It just lowered the inhibitions that were already crumbling. It just gave me permission to do what some dark part of me, bored with perfection, wanted to do. I made the choice. I wanted to be fun Amanda one more time. Instead, I became a cautionary tale, a whisper at a party. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but they're wrong. It follows you home. It moves into your childhood bedroom. It cries in the middle of the night and looks at you with a stranger's eyes. It doesn't just stay with you. It becomes your entire life.